Hello, Martin. Welcome to Landing America.
Hi, Tatiana.
You were here in Miami on vacation. I wanted you to share with the world your experience as a tourist, as someone who had Esta to come and visit.
Thanks for a warm introduction and welcome and hello to all of the listeners. I'm happy to be here. And as you said, I've been recently to USA to tell you more about how I felt there. Where I would start is maybe at the beginning where I planned all of this. And of course, it started maybe earlier than thought. It started maybe in the childhood as a dream, watching some movies. After a few years, I planned this trip finally, and it was a spontaneous decision. At one day, I just woke up and found out that there is a airline ticket, which is really cheap to my taste, and I found out that this is the date and this is the time that I would like to go.
If I may ask, how much were the tickets and where were you looking for them?
It was fairly cheap, as I said. It's 312 euros. And I found out on the Instagram, there is a page, Sveton, which is like promoting lots of great deals for the airline tickets. And I bought it like a straight click through from the Skyscanner, because I always check the prices to be the best from the Skyscanner and sometimes recheck by the Google flights.
It was a return ticket?
Yes.
And you came with a friend. Was it planned or did he just join you?
I planned this spontaneously to go by myself, but of course when I told my friends that I'm going there, that of course there was somebody who would like to go as well. It's a great place to go. My friend decided to join me, and it was a great decision, because to go alone, I would say, it's not as good as going with your friend or your loved one, sharing the costs, having fun, and sharing the experience.
Of course, 100% I agree. Where did you look up the information about getting your visa to go to America?
Right, that was one of the last things before my flight, because of course I knew that I had to do the Esta, but for me, of course, I left it for one of the last things to pack into the bag. And I searched through web, and it was quite a cumbersome process actually, because I thought it's so easy. Everybody told me that it should take like 15 minutes, but at the end I was going through several pages. First one, I looked over to the Google and tried to find the cheapest way to get to the Esta. But I was so lazy that I clicked on the first link, of course, filled all the details, and then at the end, after like 10 minutes of filling all the details, it asked me for like $60. For me, I knew that it's too much and it shouldn't be this pricey. Then I searched again and found a cheaper option, which is $21 or euros. It was euros, I think. And it was the same process. The page looked almost the same, but it required all the same details. From the details, if you'd like to know, there is nothing too personal or something that you would have to search for on the internet or somewhere. Maybe just be sure that you have no criminal records, which is quite important. And yeah, that's mostly it. If it's for you, then you'll be able to fill the Esta easily.
I also remember when I was getting my Esta, I think I was getting it from a third-party page. I remember I paid like 50 euros back then. Do you remember any other questions they were asking? I think what I remember is that they were asking if you visited certain countries in the past few months or years, but my memory is not very clear on that.
I remember they asked whether I visited Cuba, among other countries, and I was curious whether if I ticked this box, whether they would refuse me to go into America. I'm not sure, but they are asking this question. They are asking whether you have to know where you are staying, so you have to be clear about your address of the hotel or whatever place you're staying at in America.
I see. How was your flight? Where did you fly from, and through which countries did you get here?
From Slovakia, so I originated here, but my flight was from Prague and through Zurich and then to Miami. I started in Slovakia, took the train to Prague, and from Prague to Switzerland. It was easy, of course, it's an hour and something. In Switzerland, you have just to transfer at the airport and then took the nice flight to Miami. And for me, the flight was amazing. More on that later, why it was so amazing, because we chose a good date. But the flight was amazing because it was almost clear, it was almost empty. I had all the space in the world to sit there and actually to lie there.
Oh my God, I love that. I wish I had one flight like that at least someday. Usually when I fly to Europe or back, it's always so packed and full, and I'm so exhausted after 8 or 10 hours flight, and then another 2 hours waiting for the customs. How was your customs experience? Did you have to wait for long? What questions did they ask you?
It was fairly easy. I would say arriving to Miami airport, there was not too many flights, so the hall where we were waiting for the customs was fairly empty. It was like 1/3 of what's normal there. And when we came to the end of the line, there was actually a nice customs officer. He was just asking basic questions, and I have seen on his face that he's a good guy, because there were some other guys who I would not like to go to. But this guy was asking all the nice questions to the previous passengers. I have seen their faces. When I came there, he was just asking where we are staying. He wanted to have the exact address. He wasn't satisfied with some blunt answer, the name of the street. He needed to know exact address. But that was all. He was just asking for the nationality. You have to give them your fingerprints, and that's it.
It was a pleasant experience.
It was fairly easy. One thing which was not pleasant there was that we just arrived and the weather was quite different compared to Europe, and we felt a little bit dizzy, almost like as at the earthquake. We felt like the floor was moving a little bit. I don't know if it's just because it's the airport and it was a big hall, but that's what we felt there.
Interesting. Climate also here is very different. It's very humid. It's a little bit of a shock. I remember first time getting out of the airport, I felt like I just entered like a steam room. And I remember when you got here, it was quite rainy, week or two, so the humidity was probably like 100%. What were your first impressions of Miami?
I have to be honest, right? Sure. First impressions, like at the airport, I saw already some commercials at the customs clearance, and I felt like, are they trying to tell us something? Because those commercials were promoting the life in USA. I was like, they are already trying to program something into my head. But I stayed positive, and my first impressions right after that was fairly, I wouldn't even say fairly, it was great. Because first thing we took a cab, a taxi, and went straight through the city towards our hotel, and I've seen all the lights, and although I was so exhausted from all the traveling, I was already happy to see all of that. It was not a new experience for me. Of course, I've been in many cities, traveled the world, I could say. But this city was a dream come true for me. I already felt like this is my dream and it's happening. So that's how I felt at the beginning.
Have you been in the United States before?
Not there. I traveled like London, Madrid, and most of the huge European cities, Dubai, and sort of other gems.
So this was your first American city. Did you always plan to visit Miami first, or was it basically because of the tickets that you decided to come here? Or have you planned maybe visit some different place if there was opportunity?
Yeah, for me, Miami was the goal. I still would like to see the rest of the cities like New York, LA, and some more of Florida. But Miami was my goal. And yeah, I'm happy that I went there for the first time.
Okay. Was it according to your expectations?
Okay, that's a huge question. Most of it was. And let's say what wasn't was the weather. That's what surprised me. I was totally surprised by the weather. For me, it was like a dream country because I thought it's always good weather there. But for me, the weather just played a trick. A few days actually, at the beginning of our trip, it was raining, quite heavy. Some people even told us about the floods, but the floods were not there at this point, so we didn't experience that. But yeah, that was the beginning.
Yeah, I remember it was very unfortunate that that heavy rain period came exactly when you got here, because Miami is a totally different experience when it's nice and sunny, which for the most part it is most of the year. And but yeah, the weather here is actually unpredictable. Sometimes it's raining here, and then on the other side it's sunny. So, but it gets floody. You know, we're getting hurricanes here as well. The hurricane season starts in like June and ends in December, basically. So it can happen anytime, which obviously brings rain and wind. So, but that brings me to another question, which is what shocked you about, let's say, American culture or people? If there is anything, I mean, besides the weather, was there anything that you were like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that?
Okay, thinking about it retrospectively, I knew about most of the things that I would experience there, but having the hands-on experience, that's what surprises you. So, for example, the people there were like multiple experiences that I still think about what that meant and is it so different and why was it so different? So, for example, and I don't mean it in any offensive way, but if you have ever played the GTA game, I'm sure you have heard about this comparison. But yeah, the people actually on the streets, I don't know if they were recorded, but in that game, people are just different. And in Miami, it's the same. Sometimes, especially during the nighttime, that's what you can experience on the streets. People are walking in this way, they are talking to each other in this way, and it's so different compared to Europe. That's what surprised me. There were like other nuances about the people. For example, when you go through the streets in Europe, in Slovakia, Czech Republic, wherever in Europe or wherever I've been through previously, people they are mostly minding their business, but they occasionally look at you, smile at you, and even talk with you if they find something interesting. But here in USA, in Miami, what I found was that people never look you into the eyes. That's what I experienced. I don't know if it's normal, but we were seeing this like over and over.
Interesting. Interesting. For me, I remember a shocking thing was the prices, definitely. I remember my first time in a bar, like the first night I got here, and we got 2 glasses of wine and bruschetta, and the bill was $45. And I was shocked. And also, when it comes to clubbing, I was surprised that a lot of places had really strict, dress codes for ladies. They must have heels. The guys have to have, closed shoes. And most of the places, girls don't pay entrance, but then the guys basically pay a very overpriced rate to get in, which I guess covers the girls. So that was something that I haven't experienced before. I'm sure there is places in Europe that do have this, but for me that was something that really shocked me.
Shocked me as well. The clubbing space, as you mentioned, that it's so different to Slovakia and to Europe. Like the prices that you have to pay as a man to enter the club. That's something which surprised us. Also, the people who actually are there, it looks quite different. And of course, the prices for drinks. That's what surprises you. Talking about prices, I wasn't so surprised or discouraged by prices in Miami. I expected much more, and the prices were pretty similar in the restaurants. And even the taxes are okay-ish for the price. Yeah, so for me, it wasn't so expensive compared to Europe and most of the good places that you would like to visit as a traveler. So yeah, it wasn't so bad.
Is there anything that inspired you?
During my trip, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good topic. Of course, I've been visiting many countries. I visited Miami not only as for the food experience, but there I visited many restaurants. Most of them were great, and one was really amazing. And it was an experience that you have to randomly find, and it was the one. So there was a special Cuban burger. I would have to dig to find the name of the place. It was like it was amazing because it was something different which you can't find anywhere else. And it was a burger made from plantain, and the rest of the burger was normal, but the plantain gives it a different taste. And so that's, I think, the influence of Cuban restaurant, Cuban cuisine. And that's what surprised me the most. I would like to eat this every day.
So you enjoyed Hispanic kitchen.
I would like to see it more.
That's good. Also, I would like to ask you, because you said one thing. You said the people in clubs were different. What did you mean by that?
Oh, well, we visited just one club, so it's hard to generalize it. But the club was Lille, and I don't know if this one is really different to the rest of them, but I would say like men were all dressed in shirts, so that's what I can say. But girls, there was like all kinds of tastes. Like most of them were like not even dressed, but they were like normal people. It was not something extravagant, nothing like that. It was like normal people. We talked to some of them, and it was like normal people visiting Miami, the same as us. But it seems like the dress code is not really to dress.
Yeah, some girls they are like half dressed sometimes in those places, that's for sure. What about the language? Did you feel a difference when it comes to American English or English that's basically spoken here in Miami, which is Spanglish?
Oh yeah, that was an experience as well. Like if you would be coming to Miami for the first time, you expect that it's an English speaking country. So that's what I expected as well. But in many places, it was a surprise that people are talking in Spanglish and mostly Spanish. So sometimes in some places like shops, they didn't speak English at all. So we had the trouble. For example, if we wanted to buy different size of shirt or something, you would expect that they are expecting travelers because they are selling tourist stuff, but they didn't understand us, and it was a surprise. It was not trouble because it's some easy stuff, and if you know a bit of Spanish, you can do anything in Miami. But yeah, it was a surprise. By the way, the English accent of the people that they are speaking English, it was great. Like I love the American tonality and the accent. So that's what's pleasant if they are speaking English.
That was surprising for me as well. With the Americans, I like for the most part I understood well. The only thing different was the vocabulary, because in Europe we're used to using British vocabulary rather than American, so I had to adjust myself with the way I was speaking. The Spanish part was really shocking because I was studying English for 17 years. I studied English at the university. I am basically an English teacher, and I was studying stuff like translating and similar. And I came to America, and suddenly everyone was talking Spanish to me. And I used to have like black hair, and everyone thought I'm Latina. So everyone approached me with Spanish, and I was getting upset because I'm like, I came to America, I was studying English language my whole life, and now what? I have to learn Spanish? But yeah, I was actually forced to learn Spanish. I mean, it's very useful if you live in Miami. I was frustrated by that, but you know, things like that push you to evolve more. So now I'm happy that I actually learned another language while being here, because, as you say, many places and stores and even restaurants, depending on which area of Miami you are, people will not speak English, and they will even be like, "Oh, you don't speak Spanish? Like, how dare you not speaking Spanish here?" So, okay, well, next question I wanted to ask you is regarding budget. So, if we have listeners who would like to visit America, come for vacation, let's say you came here for 2 weeks, what budget would you recommend them to have? Let's say for tickets, for, you know, food, accommodation, how much should they prepare?
Good question, and also it depends. And it's the easiest answer, right? Because every traveler is different, and it was even changing during the time. For me, I had different expectations, different plans, but it was changing along the time. And so let's say the flight ticket could cost you like 300, between 300, 400 if you're coming from Europe. The hotel, that really varies, because if you are into some ocean view room like we were, then it could cost you upwards from 1,000 euros per week, upwards towards 3,000 euros per week for good ones. Then if you are not into that, you would like to stay in the city and maybe don't care about some nice neighborhood, you could go lower, but I wouldn't recommend that for the travelers coming for the first time. For us, the Miami Beach city, yeah, the part of Miami and the beach was the place to go, and we wanted to be close towards the beach and towards some nice restaurants. So all in all, if I count it all together, with the restaurants, with the taxi, with some whatever we had there, like some experiences, it would be like 1,200 euros per person, I would say, like for a good experience for 1 week. If it would be like good weather all the time, maybe we would go for some other attractions. Yeah, as you said, 4 days of our trip weather was not so great. Then we spent some time at the shopping malls, which are also great there. Yeah, there's plenty of things to do even at the bad weather. So yeah, the budget should be as follows. It really depends. Like if you have a taste for good restaurants, I would say it's not a trouble there. Very good restaurants that we visited costs like 24 euros per meal, which is not that bad, considering you are eating at fancy restaurants with like 5-star rating for 10,000 customers, and you are at the beach, at the Miami Beach, which itself sounds great, and you don't mind that you have the best food that you have never had in Europe, because there is no such cuisine in Europe. So yeah, there you go.
All right, that's very helpful. Would you have done anything differently knowing what you know now and after this experience if you were to do it again?
So one thing I didn't mention is that we use the public transportation a lot, which is free, by the way. So that saves you a significant portion of the costs if you are in a need to see everything, which we were. So yeah, that's a nice addition to have. You can experience a lot of stuff there during your trips. But one thing I would recommend or change and do differently next time is I would use the taxis more, because although the public transportation is like free, it takes time. So during the rush hours, you can spend upwards from 1 hour in a bus, and that's because it gets stops like every 200 meters or something. And when there's huge traffic, then even a taxi wouldn't get through, but at least it wouldn't stay and stop every 200 meters. And sometimes we were good travelers, both of us traveled the world, but yeah, sometimes it happens that the bus driver didn't stop at the stop, so you have to find your ways. And for example, if there is some football match or something, then the bus is suddenly going around, you don't know where you're going. So yeah, some fun you can experience. But yeah, this is something that I would change, to use more taxi, and then you can experience more of the goodies there.
I'm glad you had fun and you had your portion of experience and unexpected things. Are you planning to come back?
Definitely. Again, I will probably book a trip myself and then see who wants to join.
Are you planning to come again to Miami or see a different place in America?
Well, my big dream in America is to travel from one coast to another. So for that, I will have to find some travel partners. It's not an experience that you even want to experience by yourself. So that's something which I would like to experience during my life once. Doesn't matter if it's now or in 10 years. I think the borders and coasts will stay the same, even though maybe some of it will be flooded. I don't know. But yeah, definitely, that's my next experience. We'll see if there will be a cheap ticket to Miami. Like, I would go anytime. It's so easy for me. Like, I wouldn't even consider it like a hassle to go there. The flight from Zurich to Miami was 8 hours and something, and I didn't care. It was like they serve you food, you watch some movie, then you sleep, then they wake you up with some more food, and you're there. So nothing to consider.
And also, your ESTA is valid for, I believe, 2 years, right?
Yeah, good that you say.
Yeah, you can plan your next trip again soon. Okay, Martin, thank you very much for all the information you shared with us. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I would encourage everyone who is considering visiting America. It's a great place to be. You can even get surprised with people and everything, with hands-on experience. So yeah, if you're considering, I would say go for it. And especially Miami, it was a great place.
It's definitely a place you need to see at least once in your life. That's what I think too. Okay, thank you so much, Martin. I wish you good luck with your next travels.
So thank you very much for this wonderful time we spent together, and all the listeners continue to listen to Tatiana. Good episodes coming soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.